Hello everyone, Douglas here, and welcome to my first movie review, and today I will be reviewing Iron Man. This movie is the first movie to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The movie is directed by Jon Favreau, who also directed Elf. The movie was written by Mark Fergus, Ostby, Marcum, and Matt Holloway. The movie was released on April 14th of 2008 in Sydney, Australia, and May 2nd of 2008 in the United States. Our opening shot begins with Afghanistan, and we see an army convoy, and inside the army vehicle is Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr. We see the convoy gets attacked, and we see the soldiers are getting killed, and Tony tries to take cover, and we see a bomb from his own company, and it explodes, knocking him out. We see Tony gets kidnapped by a terrorist organization called Tin Wings. We are at Las Vegas, 36 hours earlier, at an award show called the Apogee Award, and we find out Tony's backstory. We find out Tony skipped the awards show, and we see Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges. We find out that Tony is at Caesar's palace gambling. Seriously, who does that? One of my favorite scenes from the movie when we zoomed out and we see Tony's house, and that is a cool design. We are introduced to Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. Another scene I like is when we see Tony gives a speech to the troops, and we see an explosion right behind him, and that is a rock star way to end a speech. We see that Tony is connected to a car battery, and that has got to be a living hell to live with that. And we see Tony has a heart patch that is keeping him alive. We find out that the heart patch keeps the shrapnel out of his heart. We find out from the leader of Tin Wings that he wants him to build the Jericho missile. But Tony refuses, and he gets tortured. We find out that Tin Wings has Tony Stark's weapons. We see Tony Stark forging his suit, and that is a great scene. We see Tony's design plan of the suit, and that was awesome. We see Tony's suit gets assembled, and that is another great scene. We see Tony Stark taking out the bad guys, and his first suit is impressive. One of my favorite scenes and lines when we see the bad guys start shooting Tony, and he says, "My turn." And that is a great line. And we see a big explosion, and he flies away and crashes. We see Tony is rescued by American soldiers. We find out that Tony is shutting down the weapons division after what happened in Afghanistan. One of the best lines from Obadiah when he says, "We're ironmongers. We make weapons." And that sounds like what a war criminal would say. One of the creepiest scenes is when Pepper has to change his patch, and you should have a doctor do this. We see Tony is about to start his second suit. In Afghanistan, we see the terrorists recover the first Iron Man suit. We see the second suit is completed, and his second suit is more impressive. One of the fun scenes I like is when we see Tony giving his suit a test flight, and there are great shots with that scene. We see Tony receives a package from Pepper, and it's his old heart patch, and the words say that proof that Tony Stark has a heart, and that is a good scene. We find out from the reporter that they found out that Tony's weapons were in the hands of Tin Wings, but someone shipped the weapons to them. We find out that Obadiah was the one behind it, and that is a great plot twist. We see Tony arrives back in Afghanistan and saves the people of the village, and we see him destroy his own weapons. One of the funniest scenes and line when we see Tony getting his Iron Man suit off and Pepper sees him and Tony says this funny line. Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing. We are back in Afghanistan and who arrives? Well, Obadiah. We see Obadiah sees the first Iron Man suit that Tony built and Obadiah takes it. We see Pepper is going through the files and we see Obadiah's plans. The best line I like from Obadiah when he says, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. We see Obadiah takes Tony's hot pats for his Ironmonger suit. We see that Tony is going into cardiac arrest and he needs to get his old hot pats and we see Obadiah's Iron Mongrel suit, and it's big. We see Tony arrives to save Pepper, and the fight begins. We see that Tony is going to try and stop Obadiah by freezing his suit, and we see Obadiah falls. We find out from Tony that he is going to overload the reactor and blast the roof. We see Pepper pushes the button, and everything explodes, and Obadiah is dead. We are at a press conference, and we see Tony reveals his secret identity that he is Iron Man, and that is a great and the best ending of the movie. I have not talked about the post-credit scene yet. We see Tony is back at home, and we see someone is at his home, and it's Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and he is going to talk to him about the Avenger Initiative. And that is the end. I remember when I first watched this movie in theaters, I saw this movie on my 12th birthday, and it was the best movie, and watching this again for the first time for this review, it's still good. The cast is good, Robert Downey Jr. is really good as Tony Stark, and he fits into the role really well, and he is like a rock star. Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane is good. You like him, but you hate him. And Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts is really good. The story is really good, and the direction by Jon Favreau is really great, and I will give this movie a 10 out of 10. So that is my movie review on Iron Man, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And if there is a movie you want me to review next, leave it in the comments, and I will see you next time for my classic Doctor Who review, and I will be reviewing the Aztecs. So I will see you all later.